Hey, what's going on, everybody? So listen, you guys know we're in our My Forex Journey series, and in the first 7 series, or the first 7 parts, I had explained to you guys how I'd come to find the financial markets, because I first started looking at stocks. It wasn't Forex. And in the other parts, I had explained to you guys how I had this great ambition and interest in real estate, how I transitioned from working out in the field to then buying and acquiring properties, but of course not before losing it all. I had explained to you guys how I met Marv and how we had our ups and downs and opportunities surrounding whether it's online vehicles or online financial vehicles or stocks. You know, of course, Petro America. I explained this to you guys, and then in my last video, I had explained to you guys my epiphany, the epiphany that I had after losing a lot of money in the market, starting out, and I had this epiphany that just opened up my eyes to how to trade the Forex market. So, I told you guys in my next video I was going to explain to you guys some key parts that sort of shape how I look at life, and some things that I had left out that I thought it was important to share. Now, one of those areas was, you guys remember I mentioned that there was a woman named Sue who, when I was working for this outfit, they were looking at me as being the person, like part of the managerial side. I had to communicate with her to order certain parts from certain vendors. And to my surprise, in that relationship with her, I was able to meet her husband, go out to their ranch, and this woman, like I said, she was assisting us with the parts and all that stuff, ordering parts and material for certain jobs. Went out to her home and met with her and her husband, and actually developed a nice relationship with them, and the topic of real estate came up. To my surprise, they were in a financial situation. They needed to sell their home, and they weren't producing enough income to support that property. You know, they had 2 homes on the property. They couldn't afford it. So I told them, I said, listen, I could assist you with selling your property. I'm sure I could find buyers. I mean, at this point, I wasn't new in Forex. I had met a lot of people, along the way, and the deal was, I think she mentioned all she wanted was like 600-some thousand for it. Whatever the numbers were, she wanted that for the property. She said anything you can get over that is yours. So me, being the person that I am, very diligent, worked very hard, night and day, I went out there and I started contacting. I started reaching out to some contacts from pretty much everywhere, and I ran into some very interested buyers. They were looking at her property. It was sitting on a large parcel of land, and there was a lot that you can do with it. So I brought some people in, met with them, and we were going to get the deal done. Well, unfortunately, there were other people who were interested too. She had been talking to people already, and there were so many hands in the pot. And I found a group of folks who wanted to purchase the property, and they were willing to spend over $1 million for the property. I think like 1.1 or 1.2 million for the property. And when I mentioned it to her, and this was a learning lesson for me, she told me, you know what, that's just way too much money for me to be giving you for some type of finder's fee. Because I could stand to walk away with over $500,000 just for finding her, someone who could purchase her property and get her from underneath this bad situation. Now, if she had walked away with let's say $650,000, she walked away with $650,000, what you wanted, I know, being the person, familiar with real estate, that's enough to pay off her debt, and she could walk away with money. No one's going to ask for an amount that's just going to pay off the bills. You want to walk away with something so you can have to put into your next property. And but she didn't think that it was a good deal for me, for finding someone to get her out of her bad situation. To, you know, it wasn't worth 500 some thousand or more. It wasn't worth it. It was just way too much money. And unfortunately, I learned something very important out of that situation. I learned that, you know, some people, they're always worried about what the next person, what they're getting, instead of worrying about what it is that they need to satisfy their situation. If she told me she only wanted 800,000, I would have worked with that. If she told me she only wanted $1 million, or she wanted $1 million, I would have worked with that too. You know, but whatever the number was she gave me, I worked with that. And unfortunately, in this day and age, people are so caught up on worrying about what the next man is getting or what he can get, instead of worrying about or just looking at what it is that they could achieve. And for me, if I was going to ask someone to help me get out of this bad situation, and all I wanted was 600 some thousand for it, I would make sure that that's enough for me to walk away with and be happy. And, you know, I don't care about what this person he was able to get. Of course, certain people, they're going to have certain arguments, certain opinions about this matter, but it taught me a lesson. And unfortunately, I didn't get this in paper. I didn't get everything in paper. That was also one of the issues with this situation. But there was so much stuff going on, and there was so much that was unclear on both sides. There was a lot of communication back and forth. But I mean, when I heard that she only wanted this amount, and I knew that, like, and these are not people who are uneducated. These are folks who are they too were in real estate. They have property on they have a large parcel of land. They have 2 homes on their property. They're familiar with what can be done. But, you know, sometimes when you're in bad situations, you know, you just want out. And I think at that time the market wasn't all too good, but they didn't have the financial means to develop the property. And that was the way that I had positioned the potential buyers. This is what the feasibility studies, this is what this parcel of land could have developed on it. You know, these are some of the things that I'd shopped around. But on their end, they just wanted out of a bad situation. Me, because I'm familiar with certain aspects, or, you know, certain aspects of the developmental side, I told them, I said, listen, I can get it done. Give me some time. And I think to their surprise, I found interested parties. Not just one, I found interested folks from different states coming into town, looking at it. But then she too was shopping it around, and someone on her side had, what happened was, it wasn't that she told me, no, I'm not going to sell it to your party because this is just too much money for you. What happened was, she had shopped the deal around to people before I talked with her and her husband about it, and they were shiesty folks, and they were trying to come in and take her property, find a way to take her property, which wasn't right. And, you know, to this day we're actually friends, and, you know, there's nothing lost. It's just, it taught me a lesson about how to deal with people. You definitely got to get it in writing, and of course, you know, you have to make sure that things are spelled out. Like, you know, you have to communicate things, just be straight up. Listen, this is what's going down. What is it that you want? Are you sure this is what you want? Let's get it in writing. So really, it all boils down to, you got to get it in writing. You got to communicate these things up front. Everyone needs to know their position in the situation, and that way you don't get burned. But more importantly, what I learned would help shape me, not just a lesson about getting things in writing, but really knowing that some people just don't see things the way you see it. Some people, they're more worried about what you can get instead of what it is that they want. You know, I mean, that's just how it is. People, they worry about what someone else can get instead of you know, just considering what it is that they can get. So, and that's in life. People, they're always criticizing. So that's that's a lesson that you know, this is my experience, and there'll always be experiences like this with people, because people are always envious, always maybe jealous of what you have or what they can't get. It's always that situation. All right, so now this is on the real estate side. All right, I think that sometime after this, actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to go deeper in some of the things that transpired during this period of time in my next video. So I'll see you guys in the next video. All right.